What's up, guys? I'm Cody Brockway, and you are back here for a special episode of Brockway's Vinyl Bites. So, of course, hence the name of the channel, we typically talk about vinyl records a lot, and I've shown a couple of CDs here and there, but never really went in depth into the CD and DVD music collection. So I'm going to do that with you here today. And we're going to go through all the CDs, well, not every CD individually, but I'm going to show you all the shelves. I'm going to show you the DVDs here. All music related for the most part. Blu-rays and such. Got some really special Looney Tunes box sets there. Big fan of Bugs Bunny. And of course we got some other miscellaneous movies and such down there. And some Beavis and Butthead video collection box sets. The Friends complete series. That sort of deal. Got some cool books and magazines over here. Some great rock autobiographies and such. And then we get over to the Beatles corner. And this big, massive plaque of the wonderful bassist Chris Squire, my favorite bassist of all time. Rest in peace, Chris. Absolutely love. Yes, this is the poster. This is the plaque that Tara and I actually pray to all the time. But yeah, the Beatles corner over here. Some cool plaques and posters and such. The U.S. albums box set. The George Harrison All Things Must Pass. Double 8-track. Not a big 8-track guy. But that's just a cool collectible piece. Model Hofner bass, and a light-up CD-playing radio jukebox made by Crosley. Pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know what state. I think this might be on the town station, but yep, cool. It lights up and everything's beautiful. And you got all the Beatles CD and vinyl box sets, of course, together and apart, because we have solo stuff as well, like the big George Harrison box set there. The Paul McCartney archive releases, more George Harrison stuff, including the concert for George there, pretty cool. Some John Lennon CD sets, more Beatles boxes, and then we've got some Stones stuff here, so it's a little bit of Beatles and Stones at the bottom. Some Stones books and box sets as well, all the way down. With an Eddie Van Halen Music Man Wolfgang special guitar here. Pretty sweet. And now we move on to the CDs. So we go left to right, top to bottom. We're going to start here. And of course, my taste is very eclectic. So you're going to see everything from AC/DC to Yes, to The Grateful Dead, to Eminem in here. And various other surprises. But I love music. That's what it's all about. So we got AC/DC and Alice Cooper. Flowing over to the right with some Avril Lavigne, Alter Bridge, Aerosmith, huge Aerosmith fan as you can tell, Alice in Chains, Atomic Rooster, Avenged Sevenfold, Asia, Allman Brothers Band, some Alan Parsons, some Aldi Meola. Yes, I go by first name, don't kill me. Some Bruford. Obviously, Bill Bruford, one of the greatest drummers of all time. Yes, UK, King Crimson. And obviously the solo band Bruford. The Beatles. More Beatles stuff. And some Black Sabbath. I've got more Black Sabbath in a box set that contains all the Ozzy years from 70 to 78. But this is mostly Dio stuff here. You'll find more Dio later in the Dio section. And Rainbow and Elf and all that. Big Train, one of my favorite prog bands of all time. Of course, they're a modern prog band, and they're just really, really interesting. A great live band, too. I got to see them back in Ottawa a few weeks ago, and they all signed my CD, which was pretty sweet. Gregory Spotton was a just lovely guy. They were all lovely people, actually, and I'm hoping to have Greg on the channel sometime, so we'll see about that. Continuing on with some Billy Joel, some Big Wreck, some CCR, and some Chicago, in particular the early stuff. I got a little bit of the later stuff, but mostly the earlies, because I love early Chicago with Terry Kath. R.I.P. to him. So we're all the way over at the right. Now we're going to go back to the left. Going to continue on with some more C. Of course, we got some Prog brilliance with Camel and Caravan to start us off over here. Got some Cream, The Cult, Chick Corea, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Got a little bit of Chevelle and some Creed. Yeah, say what you want about Creed. I think they rock. Cheap Trick, Chris Cornell. And we got these really cool career-spanning Bowie box sets. So this is the first 5 years of his career, right? 69 to 73. All the studio albums, some live albums, some unreleased cuts. Same deal with Who Can I Be Now, 74 to 76. New Career in a New Town, 77 to 82. And Loving the Alien, 83 to 88. I don't have the newest one on CD yet, but I will eventually. David Bowie, Glastonbury 2000. Sound and Vision. Some cool radio broadcast box sets. A couple of Bowie compilations and other studio albums and random material from his catalog. Love Bowie. The Doors, another one of my favorite bands. I don't cover them a whole lot on the channel, but I definitely should. Huge Doors fan. Moving over. Devin Townsend, some heavy Devi. That's right, some magical Canadian progressive rock, progressive metal, whatever you might want to classify him as, if you can classify him as anything, because he's so broad with his styles. Classic Deep Purple. Love me some Deep Purple. Got most of their output, at least most of the 70s stuff anyway. A couple of the newer ones, but yeah. Oh, Ronnie James Dio makes another appearance. One of my favorite singers of all time. Just love him. Then, of course, by the thumbnail of this video, and any followers of this channel for any length of time, you know I love Dream Theater. This is a couple of their solo albums and such as well in here, like some John Petrucci, some James LaBrie, and the majority of their recorded output in the studio right here. Some Def Leppard, early stuff. All the solo David Gilmour albums. Fantastic. And this is like a double CD that has the self-titled and about face. Pretty cool. We move forward as we progress into the E section with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Got a lot of ELP. I don't love all of their albums, but I've got what I like here. Plus one. I don't like the Love Beach album, but this was a Japanese edition, and of course I'm a collector of such things, so might as well have it, but I never play it because I think it stinks. But yeah, love Emerson, Lake and Palmer aside from that. Just great stuff. Great band. Yeah, and so as we continue on with the E's, we go back over to the left. And I used to be a huge hip-hop fan, not as much nearly anymore, but one artist I still love and listen to very regularly is Eminem, because I think he's a great lyricist, he's a great storyteller, great rapper, just excellent at what he does. I've got all of his CDs and always buy them when he comes out with them. Big fan. Eagles, pretty cool, like them a lot. Some great 70s classic rock. And of course, Elton John. And a good chunk of his released work. Of course, after a while, his albums become kind of spotty in the 80s and 90s, but still a great artist nonetheless. And I listen to his 70s stuff very, very regularly. These are pretty cool because these are hybrid discs. So they play in regular CD players, but if you put them in a DVD player, they can decode into 5.1 surround sound if you want them to. Very cool. Move on with some ELO, some Eric Clapton. Not a big Clapton guy, but got a couple of his, including one of the hybrid discs of Slowhand. Some Exodus. Yeah, there we go. Some Exodus, some Extreme, Nuno Bettencourt, great band. Elf with Ronnie James Dio. Some Enchant with Ted Leonard. Of Pattern Seeking Animals and Spock's Beard and such as well. But Enchant was a great band. They used to open for Dream Theater back in the day. Fleetwood Mac. Got to have a bit of the Mac in there, you know. And some Frank Zappa. Now, you guys know I'm a huge Zappa nut. And I have the majority of his recorded releases and output because I even like his weirder stuff, like the Hungarian classical stuff. I can appreciate some of that as well because his artistry is so innovative and his creativity was off the absolute map, you know. He was just brilliant. And I think he was a guy with a lot to say and a very intelligent composer as well. Love Zappa. Moving on, we got some more Prog with Flying Colours. Mike Portnoy, Neil Morse, Steve Morse. Of course, they're not related, but pretty cool they have the same last name in Flying Colours. Awesome band. Flower Kings, some great prog from Sweden. Then of course we got some 70s and 80s hard rock with Foreigner. Classic rock. Foo Fighters from the 90s and 2000s, a great hard rock band indeed. I like them a lot. They got some great tunes. Just like this band that kind of gets some unnecessary flack for sure, but they sell out arenas and stadiums, no problem. It's Five Finger Death Punch. Yeah, not everyone's favorite. I respect you, but I like them a lot. They got some great tunes, and I saw them open for Metallica a couple years ago, and they were a lot of fun. Great hard rock, heavy metal group. Some great prog with Frost. A lot of Gentle Giant, because you guys know I'm a prog nerd. Some Gojira and Ghost. Love the heavy metal. Some Green Day. As we progress back over to the right, now we're going to shift back over to the left again. Some George Harrison there. Of course, in addition to all the George Harrison that's over here. Grateful Dead. A whole chunk of the Dave's picks. I haven't been collecting them as much recently, but these are the ones that I've managed to get over the years. Really collectible pieces, actually. Very cool. Road Trips, all Grateful Dead. Dick's Picks. R.I.P., of course, to Dick Latvala, the guy who used to go and pick their shows for release through the Dick's Picks catalog. Then, of course, we have some other radio broadcasts and normal editions of studio albums and such here, like the Mo-Fi editions of Blues for Allah and stuff as well. Pretty cool. That's a great album. More cool live Grateful Dead stuff there. And of course, these are the 50th album anniversary sets here. So you got Axel Moxawa, Working Man's Dead, American Beauty, Wake of the Flood, and From the Mars Hotel. Haven't heard a couple of these in a while. Got to spin some soon. More Grateful Dead, and then you got some solo Bob Weir. You got some solo Jerry Garcia, some of the Garcia live stuff that he did with Merle Saunders and John Cann. Really cool. Some solo Mickey Hart there as well. That's pretty weird, actually, the Mickey Hart stuff, but great for drummers. We hit the G section with some Gowan. Pretty cool. Got a little bit of Garth Brooks in there, too. Yeah, not much of a country guy, but Garth Brooks hits the sweet spot. There's a little bit of country in here, but we quickly move on from that, and we hit some Hawkwind. That's right. This is largely Tara's influence on me, and what a lucky guy I am. Engaged to someone who loves Hawkwind. That's amazing. Quark, Strangeness, and Charm. A bunch of other Hawkwinds here. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. The box set for Warrior on the Edge of Time. Great album. We got some Heart, some Haken, prog metal legends, love them, and other metal legends here with Iron Maiden, and of course I have every Maiden album here. But I love how the 80s and 90s Maiden releases, you put them together, and the spines make up Eddie's face. Eddie! What a legend. Love seeing them live. They're so great. We continue on through I into J, where we hit Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull, one of my absolute favorite bands of all time. I got most of their early output here. Not so big into some of the later stuff that they've been putting out, but I still buy them. I got the box sets on the other side of the room there. These are just some regular individual discs from their catalog. Got all the CD book sets as well. Pretty cool. They set the gold standard for that format for sure. Then here we got some Jimi Hendrix, got some Joe Walsh, a little bit more John Lennon, Joni Mitchell, Jeff Beck. Love Jeff Beck. He's amazing. And we're all the way over on the right again. We continue on with the J's down here with Judas Priest, another one of my favorite bands. Love them so much. Some John and Vangelis. John Anderson from Yes, of course, when he went with Vangelis and did a number of albums in the early 80s. Had some good success with him, too. A little bit of jazz there with some John Coltrane and Jaco Pastorius. Some great modern prog. If you haven't heard this yet, I would highly recommend you check it out. This is the new one from Car Mechanic, Transmutation. That's Jonas Reingold's band. Fantastic. I love them. A little bit of Kid Rock, just for total opposite sake. I know Kid Rock gets a lot of flack for his politics and stuff. I don't care about any of that. This is just fun throwbacks for me. A little bit of country here with Keith Urban. Again, like I said before, I'm not a huge country fan, but I do love me some Keith Urban. Reminds me of my childhood. My mom used to listen to him a lot. And so this is one of my summer albums here. Love Keith. And then, of course, we jump from that into Killswitch Engage, which is totally heavy metal. And they're a great band. Same as King's X, prog metal for sure. The Kinks, not a huge Kinks fan, but I got a couple of their releases anyway. Kaipa, great Swedish prog. And then, of course, classic prog with Robert Fripp and King Crimson, which I have a lot of King Crimson here. Huge Crimson fan. And then we jump up to the 90s once again with some Korn. I'm a huge Korn fan. Yeah, my taste in music is all over the place, as it should be, you know. I got most of Korn's albums. In particular, the last couple of ones they've done have been really fantastic. Loved the Nothing from 2019. Great album. We jump back into the 70s with some American prog over here. Some Kansas to start off this shelf. Then we're met with some Kiss. Not a big Kiss fan, but I do like some of their stuff. So, of course, got a couple of their discs there. Some modern progressive rock with Life Signs and Lobate Scarp. Adam Sears, who is the sort of de facto leader of Lobate Scarp, is an acquaintance, friend of mine, and he's just a great guy, a tremendous musician, and I've always loved his band. Very good. They're definitely worth checking out. In particular, I really like this album a lot. This is from 2023, I believe this came out. You Have It All. They're a great band. Lobate Scarp for the win. Right next to Lamb of God, some extreme metal. And then we got some classic Southern stuff with Lynyrd Skynyrd. And of course, you know, straight up great classic rock with Led Zeppelin. Yeah, love me some Zeppelin. Got a little bit of Lee Air in there. Fun fact, my dad played bass on this album. Very cool. We got some Mastodon prog metal from the 2000s, 2010s, and current times. Great band. And then one of my all-time favorite bands, like in the top 5 ever, Metallica. Oh, God, I love Metallica, as you can tell. I have all their albums. They're great. Mr. Big, love them as well. Very underrated group. I had Billy Sheehan on the show for an interview once a couple months ago, and that was fantastic. Megadeth, love them. I'm not one of those that's like Megadeth or Metallica. It's like, nah, heck with that, man. They're both great bands, and you can love whatever you love. Motorhead, got lots of Motorhead there. Some Miles Davis, some Mahavishnu Orchestra. Great jazz fusion there for sure. And then as we progress all the way over there, we go back to the left again. We got some Meatloaf, got some Marianas Trench. They're a great Canadian pop rock sort of thing. Got some classical music with Mussorgsky. Got some Moody Blues. Got some Marillion. Huge Marillion fan. I've got all the CD book sets, of course, with the Jethro Tull ones on the other side of the room. Got a little bit of Marilyn Manson. Got some Neil Young. And I know you guys like to crap on Nickelback, but I don't care. I love them. Have loved them since I was a kid. They were my first concert ever. So got some Nickelback there. Still a big fan. Some Neil Morse. Neil is just an awesome musician. Great modern day prog and just totally interesting. Love pretty much everything he does. All the transatlantic stuff and all that, you know. Opeth. The gold standard of progressive death metal in Sweden. Just an amazing band. Got some Ozzy. Continue on with some Ozzy and some Overkill. Then we hit Paul McCartney. Yeah, obviously a big Paul McCartney, Wings, Beatles fan. Always been, always will be. Got all his albums. We got a little bit of Pink Floyd. I have more Pink Floyd in various box sets and such. They actually have their own space on my wall on the other side of the room. That's a couple of straggler CDs that I have related to Pink Floyd that aren't in the Discovery box set or whatever else. Some Primus, love them. Perfect Circle and Pussifer. Of course, 2 of 3 bands fronted by Maynard James Keenan. We'll get to his third one in a little bit. Got some Pantera, some Porcupine Tree, some Police, a little bit of the Prog Collective, some Prince, some Fish, of course, the PHISH band. I love Fish. Great sort of proggy jam band from the States. We get into the Q's there with some Queen. Yeah, I love Queen. Got all their albums. Huge Queen fan. And we continue on with Queen here. Of course, these are the studio albums collection box sets. So the black one's got everything up to Day at the Races. The white one has From News of the World to The Game or Hot Space. And then the red one's got The Works and A Kind of Magic and all the 80s ones there. More Queen live albums, compilations, that sort of thing. Queensryche. Going into some Rick Emmett there. Another album my dad played bass on. Pretty cool. And some Rush. Yes. You know I'm in Canada. You know I love Prog. And Rush just totally fits the bill. Absolutely massive Rush fan I am. Great band. Some Rainbow with Ronnie James Dio. I don't really have much of the post-Dio Rainbow stuff. I think there's maybe one in there. But, oh yeah, this one. This is the one Joe Lynn Turner album that I have, but all the other ones have Ronnie on them. Some Roger Waters, some Rick Labonte, Radiohead, all that Rolling Stones. Huge Stones fan. And we get into some Rage Against the Machine there. They don't have a lot of albums, but I've got everything that they do have out. A little bit of Red Hot Chili Peppers. Not a big Chili Peppers guy, but there's a couple that you got to have, you know. Solo Rick Wakeman. Huge Rick Wakeman fan. Love him with Yes, obviously. And then we hit the Steely Dan. Great jazzy pop rock fusion stuff. Just absolutely brilliant. Some Brazilian death metal with Sepultura. Love them. Got some Steve Vai, got some Smith Kotzen. Of course, that's the project between Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden and Richie Kotzen. Sons of Apollo, Mike Portnoy, Jeff Scott Soto, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, Derek Sherinian, Billy Sheehan. Great stuff. Stevie Wonder, that At the Close of a Century box set is absolutely fantastic. 4 discs of Stevie brilliance. And speaking of Steve, we got a bunch of Steven Wilson there from Porcupine Tree, of course. And of course, his solo albums are actually right beneath the P section where the Porcupine Tree albums are. That's pretty cool. That was not on purpose, by the way. Got some Supertramp, got some classic Snoop Dogg from my hip-hop days. Of course, I still really like some of his early stuff. Then, of course, you know we're in Ontario, Canada, and got some Shania Twain. She's produced by Mutt Lange, of course. Same guy who did all the AC/DC and Def Leppard and stuff. But I love Shania Twain, especially her earlier albums like that. Great stuff. Some Stone Sour, a metal band fronted by Corey Taylor of Slipknot. And then we got Slipknot. We got Slayer. We got System of a Down. We got Santana. We got Slash. We got Spock's Beard, Scorpions. Lots of things. Then we'll take one more trip down, and then that'll be the end. Woo! We go on with the teas here. A little bit of Theory of a Dead Man, some great Canadian hard rock. A little bit of Taylor Swift. Yeah, I know, you guys, again, say what you want. I like some Taylor Swift, so don't come at me in the comments about that. Got some Testament. Got some Thin Lizzy. My favorite Irish band. Love Thin Lizzy. Some Todd Rundgren. Some Tragically Hip. Yeah, I know I'm not a big Hip fan, really, but got to have at least Road Apples and the greatest hits, right? Living in southern Ontario. 10cc. A whole bunch of T-Rex and Mark Bolan, because I'm a huge fan. some Tommy Bolin, some Trapeze. Of course, that's Glenn Hughes' old band before he was in Deep Purple. Whole bunch of Tom Petty. And, oh yes, the third Maynard James Keenan band, and arguably the best one of all of them, Tool. I absolutely love Tool. One of my favorites. If they had more albums, I'd have them. Sorry, just getting a good angle here. I'm crawling on the floor here, guys. See what you guys do to me. 3 Days Grace, some Transatlantic. They're just a great band. I love them. Transatlantic, for those who don't know, is Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater, Neil Morse, Rona Stolt from the Flower Kings, Pete Trewavas from Marillion. They're awesome. Speaking of awesome, we got some great 70s hard rock there with UFO. Amazing. Got some great 70s jazz with Uzeb. Got some great 70s hard rock with Uriah Heep. Some great prog rock with Vandergraaf Generator and Peter Hamill. Some great 80s and 90s hard rock with Van Halen. Huge Van Halen fan. And The Who. Some classic goodies. Some Whitesnake. Winery Dogs, Mike Portnoy, Billy Sheehan, and Richie Kotzen. Some Yes, together and solo. And that is the rest of my collection. Look at all that Yes. Jeff Shilka's going to love this one. All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching this. It's been another special edition of Brockway's Vinyl Pites. I want to thank you to all you loyal viewers out there. Raymond Pierre, that's right. Jeff Shilka, Scott Lade, of course, Tara O'Reilly, and everyone else that's always in the comments rocking out. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment on this, and we'll see you next time right here on Brockway's Vinyl Bites. Rock on!